The game, and he's right here.
Right now.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Hey, what's up? Let's go. Stop beating around the bush. Let's go. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Welcome into the show, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. Glad to have you in here today. Now, it's the halfway point of the week, and like I said, we're coming off of a holiday weekend, Memorial Day holiday weekend this past week. So yesterday was Tuesday. It felt like Monday. Today's Wednesday. It feels like Tuesday. But it's Wednesday. We're getting really, really close to the weekend, which is going to be a very interesting weekend around here. You're going to have, probably across 3 days at the regionals in Starkville and in Oxford, you're going to put 30-something thousand people in there in both of them. I mean, think about that for a minute. I know it's, preaching to the choir, broken record. I've said it before. I get it. Nobody supports college baseball like they do here in the state of Mississippi. It's everybody's second place to Mississippi in that regard. And a state with less than 3 million people, you're going to have two regionals 90 miles apart. There'll be 30-something thousand there across the weekend in Oxford and 30-something thousand there across the weekend in Starkville. They will not do that anywhere else. You hear me? Not even close. It's a whole different deal. So it's not only State and Ole Miss, hosting it, but the teams that get to come and be a part of it and play in front of it. Okay? I mean, we didn't even touch on that yesterday. But, you look at Southern Miss. Now, Southern Miss, they're used to big crowds. It may not be 10,000, but it's 5,000 a lot of times in Hattiesburg. And they play State and Ole Miss a lot and in those ballparks and have been there a bunch. But these other teams like Campbell and VCU, and SEMO and some of those teams, they haven't played in front of 10,000 people ever. Maybe the only time they do for a bunch of them. It's just a whole different deal around here. Now, if LSU were hosting, obviously you put them in that mix. And I should say Arkansas up at Baum, too. They'll do that across 3-4 days, whatever it is. They'll have a smooth 30-something thousand in that one, too. But that's one in one state. Same thing for LSU. I'm talking in this state, we got less than 3 million people total. Check the census. And we're putting two regionals 90 miles apart and both of them busting at the seams with people. Every ticket you can sell, you'll sell it. So it's about to be a big weekend. It's Wednesday of it, and I can't wait to preview it with you right now. You're going to hear a voice right now on your radio that you've heard a lot if you followed college baseball, including this past week at the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover on television coverage on the SEC Network and ESPN. Ben McDonald, big tall right-hander, former first-round pick out of LSU, now an analyst with ESPN and for the Baltimore Orioles for their home broadcast as well, and he's on your radio right now. Ben, I tried to put it in perspective, but baseball is kind of a big deal around here in Mississippi, and we're going to have two regionals 90 miles apart. We're going to have a little fun this weekend.
Well, I tell you, I was listening. You did a wonderful job, and you're right. I mean, when you talk about college baseball, you get them 90 miles apart, Mississippi State, of course, and Ole Miss, it's going to be fantastic. Remember, Mississippi is one of the first states that opened up to full capacity really before anybody else did, and we know what baseball means to the state of Mississippi and the following, of course, that Mississippi State has, the following that Ole Miss has. You talked about Southern Miss. I love Coach Berry, too, as well. He's an awesome dude and always has a wonderful, wonderful program, And so it's going to be some good baseball. It's going to be some. I'll be watching from a distance from my house here. Unfortunately, we're not traveling. Nobody's traveling to the regionals. We'll all be calling from our house here, but I'll be following as best as I can anyway.
Sure. Well, and I guess that's just kind of par for the course, the way things have kind of been. But given that you'll be back at home on the headset this week, I bet you had a ball being in Hoover last week in the booth and at the ballpark.
No, it was fun. It was fun just to see everybody, and get out again and have some normalcy again. I know we're moving hard in that direction. I'm hope there's hope that we will travel for the super regionals and actually be on site, because it's such a big deal, for us to be there. You kind of feed off the energy of the crowd. You feed off the environment. You can see everything. It's tough, when you're sitting in a closet or sitting in your office calling a ball game. For my case this weekend, they're way up in Eugene, Oregon is what the regional I'll be calling. It's a long way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm going to tell you that. And so it's different, but it is where it is, and I'm hoping it gets better over time, and I'm looking forward to calling that region.
All right. So, Ben, when you look at the field, and I know it's even for a diehard baseball fan, it's hard to consume and be ready to preview 64 teams, but, and I know you keep up with it. You got 3 teams coming in there to Starkville for that regional that, there's not a lot of big names, okay? It's good baseball. Samford, a really good 4 seed. You got VCU in there, who's won 21 games in a row. And Campbell, the fighting Campbells, who hit a bunch of home runs this year. They hit the ball well. But, when you saw that field for state and that Starkville regional, what did you think about it?
Well, you're right. The name, first of all, the names don't jump at you, as you mentioned. You knew about VCU. You knew they were a hot team. They finished really strong, and they're a solid team. Samford, I don't know that much about, and of course Campbell as well. So when I saw it on paper, when you look at the names, you look at it and you go, "Oh, okay, Mississippi State's going to be hosting a super regional too." That's what jumps at you right away. But look. This as well as I do. When you get to postseason play, man, anything can happen. I'm going to tell you, every one of these teams have a real dude or two on the bump, guys that can shut you out. And I've always said this, the first game of the season is always the toughest. The first SEC game of the year is always the toughest. And certainly the first NCAA tournament game for each one of these teams. We see a 1-4 upset all the time. It happens all the time. And so it's difficult. You're trying to mix and match your pitchers. If you're a number 1, you're trying to get by with maybe your number 2 or number 3 guy to save your number 1 for when you do play the 2 or 3 seed, and it can backfire on you sometimes, And so these are going to be difficult games when you look at that Starkville regional. The names are not eye-popping to you, but you know that they can beat you. The good news for Mississippi State and obviously Ole Miss, and I heard you talking about this, the crowd's going to make a difference. Obviously, Mississippi State did not finish the way they wanted to finish. They did not look good in Hoover. I don't think anybody expected to see what we saw at Hoover from Mississippi State. It's consistent as they've been all year long. But sometimes when you go home, you can get healthy. When you get that crowd behind you like that, that's all that really matters, and they can carry you to a victory. And look, Ole Miss is the same way. I love the folks at Ole Miss and the crowds that they have there. Mike Bianco's done a wonderful job there, over the years of building that program to where it is today. And it's a national powerhouse, is what it is, along with Mississippi State. And so they're going to feed, the home teams are going to feed off their crowds. And I think Ole Miss got a pretty tough draw. I mean, you look at all the regionals around, man. You look at that Oxford region, you go, whoa, that one there could be the toughest one on paper out of any of them. Because about Southern Miss, Florida State's always in the mix as well. They can beat you. I don't know that much about Southeast Missouri State, but look, if you're in the NCAA tournament, you're there for a reason, and you can win ball games. For
sure. Ben McDonald on your radio right now. Back to that finish of the season for State. You use the word surprising. I think that certainly applies. But just the overall finish, Ben, losing a series at home to Missouri, then they finished by going on the road, sweeping Alabama, a tournament team. So you had this sort of up and down at the end of the year. And then the 2-Q at the SEC tournament. If you were a diehard State fan, would you be concerned with that trend heading into this postseason?
Well, I would be a little bit concerned because the only thing that concerned me about the SEC tournament was the strength of Mississippi State, we all know all year long, has been the pitching, the depth of the pitching and how good they have been. To get 10-run rules like they did or whatever it was and give up a lot of runs, that was the surprising thing about it. When I went into the season, I looked at Mississippi State and I go, okay, they got some veteran dudes. The top part of that lineup is going to be really good with Tanner Allen and Rowdy Jordan and the boys. That's going to be good. The question I had about Mississippi State was, okay, are they going to have a consistent lineup and be able to score and put pressure on you 1 through 9? I think if there's a weak spot for State, and I think all year long it has been the ability to score runs, the bottom part of that lineup at times has been really good, but other times it's kind of gone away. And when we look down the lineup at the really good lineups in the country, we talk about maybe Arkansas lineup, we see Vanderbilt's lineup. They can pressure Tennessee. They can pressure you up 1 through 9. And I think like a lot of schools, Mississippi State's not any different than like an LSU or some of the other schools out there that man, the first 4 or 5 are pretty daggum good, but then they need some guys to show up in the bottom part of that lineup. And so I still think the strength of Mississippi State is no doubt it's their pitching, it's their depth of pitching. It should keep them in ball games. The question I have is when they run up against a real dude, are they going to be able to score some runs? I think they can. Again, at home is going to make all the difference, but that's the question for me with Mississippi State. You know, when I talk about Ole Miss, you just go, wow. I mean, the injuries that they've had, the way they've been able to come back through it, the losses they've had. I mean, look, I had Tim Elko as my SEC Player of the Year before the season even started. I thought he was that good. And you lose a guy like that, I'm not saying he's lost because he's still trying to play. He's still better than most on one knee. You know what I mean? Like, he really is better than most on one knee. But you wonder if that kid would have stayed healthy, where would this offense be? You wonder if Hoagland was still there, where would this pitching staff be? Now, look, they had some real dudes step up in the SEC tournament. Mike Bianco's kind of got a history of getting his team playing good there toward the end. They had a really strong finish to the regular season and knocked off Vanderbilt and Georgia toward the end and made that good run in the SEC tournament. So I feel like Ole Miss is playing kind of its best baseball all year long. Some arms have come up and performed well in the SEC tournament. That offense, look, it just keeps on to come. It's one of the best offenses in the entire country.
For sure. You know, and they in Hoover, they got that great outing from McDaniels. And then I know that it was a game that was close. They wound up getting eliminated to Vandy, but the start they got from Tyler Myers, who's kind of their number 4. Ben, I wonder how you feel. I felt like, you know, even though they didn't win the tournament, they got some starts from some other guys not named in Nikhazy that probably gave their team a lot of confidence coming out of there.
No doubt about it. And you know, kind of the question mark, as we said, for Mississippi State was going to be, could they score runs? The question for Ole Miss when Hoagland went down was, okay, who's going to pitch now? Who, besides Nikhazy, who's going to be their guy, right? And to see McDaniel step up and do what he did, and you see Myers step up and really throw the ball well, I think that puts to bed a lot of the questions you had against Ole Miss. So certainly their pitching staff feels really good about going in, to a regional tournament.
Sure. Ben McDonald on your radio right now. Ben, we have an avid listener who's a big Mississippi State fan who happens to live in Baltimore, Maryland. So he's also an Orioles fan, and he texted us on the Country Pleasing Sausage text line, and he's got a question here. He's referencing how, you know, a lot of people say, hey, look, all these teams have kids throwing 95 now, when back in the day, if you were hitting 90, you were special. And so he had a question for you just to get your opinion. He says, are these kids relying on the fastball too much and not developing other pitches and learning how to get batters out? Like, I guess he's asking too much emphasis on that 95 velocity these days. What do you think?
Oh, there's no doubt. When you talk about it at the college game, the guys that still have a lot of success are the guys that can go out and pitch, you know. And I think we've got some throwers out there and we have pitchers out there. Looks like we got some swingers out there and we got hitters out there.
Yeah.
And I can get off in the weeds of this stuff really deep, but the guy that can still go out and change speeds, the guy that can command his fastball, change speeds a little bit, locate his stuff, is still the guy at the collegiate level that has a lot of success. And you can go around the SEC, Landon Marceau from LSU, McLeod, you know, you talk about Doug Nikhazy. I mean, these guys can really command their stuff, and that's why they're number one where they are. But I do feel like that we have a lot of emphasis on velocity right now. And velocity can be a good thing if you can control your velocity. But we see it all the time now. Guys are throwing 94 and 95, and when the count's 2-0 and you leave it down the middle of the plate, it gets turned around pretty quickly. And we're seeing even higher velocities at the MLB level in plus counts and get turned around. So velocity's not the end all, you know. And the game's in a funny place right now, as you know. It's in a real funny place where strikeouts are okay. It used to be embarrassing to strike out at the big league level. It's not anymore. We're going to set a record in strikeouts. The swings in baseball have gotten crazy where it's a lot of get the ball in the air, let's get it in the air, get it in the air. It's led to a lot of uppercut swings, and it's led to a lot of strikeouts. And, you know, doing the Oriole games that I do, I had the research people go back and look, and I went back 25 years ago. The average big league hitter hit 277 25 years ago in the big league. The average big league hitter in today's game is hit 237.
Ooh.
So it's a 40-point swing. And, yes, I would agree. Pitchers are ahead of hitters right now, but they're not 40 points ahead of hitters right now. Yeah. Hitters have to get back to a flatter swing, putting balls in play a little bit more than what we have right now. So the game's in a real funny place. If you like home runs and strikeouts, the game's for you. Everything else is kind of gone away in some regards. The college game always mirrors the pro game in some ways, and we see a lot of strikeouts now in the college game because you realize you can get the ball in the air and you can hit home runs again, and that's great. But the teams, to me, that can do both have the power guys, but you can bunt a little bit, you can hit and run a little bit, you can steal some bases here and there, or the guys I think are going to have success and make deep runs in the postseason.
Ben McDonald on your radio. Ben, you were a star at LSU, and throwing it across the plate, and the guy back there giving you the signals was Mike Bianco. And he stuck around in this game of baseball for a little while, and that's an understatement. What was Mike like as a player and as a catcher behind the plate?
Intense. He was intense, and that's why I loved him, and I still love him today. He's a good friend of mine, and he's as good as dude as there is, Yeah. And I know the Mississippi State people don't like to hear me say that, but Mike Bianco is a good dude, and he was a guy that you wanted. If you had to climb in a foxhole and get back-to-back with somebody, that's who you want to have your back. There's no doubt about that. And playing with Mike, I knew that he would manage one day. He was going to be a skipper one day because that was just his thing. He loved the game like we all did, but he knew it from so many different angles, and he picked Coach Burton's brain daily, and Smoke Laval and Randy Davis and all the guys that we had back then. And so I'm not shocked that Mike's having the success he is. He's a go-getter. He always has been a go-getter. He's an intense guy. And I love that about him. That's why I love the pitch. I tell people all the time I threw to a lot of catchers in my career, but Mike Bianco is still my favorite guy to ever throw to.
Ben, didn't you tell me one time he was the kind of guy who had so much confidence in you? Didn't he go out and tell an opponent one time in New Orleans that they weren't getting a hit? Didn't he just go right out and say it?
Well, I won't get too far in the story, but the bottom line is Mike ran into Oklahoma State the night before we were going to play them. Mm-hmm. And he basically told them that they were going to get 95 shoved all over them tomorrow. And I didn't know anything about it. And they were the number one team in the country at the time. And so Mike always came down and caught me the last 15 or 20 pitches in warm-ups. And we were facing Okie State, the Superdome, and the Superdome Classic we used to have. And he came down and caught me. We always walked up to the dugout together right before the game. And we got about halfway there, and he kind of taps me on the rear end and jogs off and goes, "Oh, by the way, I told Oklahoma State they were going to see 95 and it's going to get shoved up their rear end all day long. So good luck." Good luck, and he ran off, And so he put some pressure on me right away, but I think we shut him out, and I struck out like 14, and we beat them. They're the number one team in the country. So it all worked out. But that's the kind of guy he was. Like, he was a in-your-face kind of guy. Wasn't going to back down from nobody, and that's what I loved about him.
That's it. Well, and it's kind of like, I guess, what they say about talking smack. It's okay if you can back it up, right? I mean, that's an example of backing it up, I guess.
Look, I love it. There's a difference between a little swagger, and Mike had swagger, and we all did. We just believed that we would win. I think that's a lot in college ball,
Yeah.
Over the course of 162 games, it's hard to have that. But in a shorter season, you can have a lot of confidence and swagger. And these kids, these veteran teams that you see out there that have these fifth-year seniors and guys that's been around their programs for a long time, these guys have some swagger. Ole Miss has got it. Mississippi, Tanner Allen's got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a dude. I mean, both of these teams are a bunch of kids to me. When I look at Ole Miss and I look at Mississippi State, I see a bunch of kids that grew up drinking out of a water hose. That's what kind of kids they are. They're just tough, gritty, in-your-face kind of dudes that ain't going to fail. And that's why they're so much fun to watch.
For sure. Ben, a couple of minutes left, real quick. It almost seems too easy to pick Arkansas, but it's like there's been a time this year, at least in the SEC, where you could just sort of feel it's like everybody playing for second place. Are they that much better than everybody else, or have they just got that little extra figure out a way to win that you're talking about?
I keep looking at Arkansas throughout the year, and I keep going, is this team this good? When are they going to lose?
Yeah.
When are they going to lose something? And you just keep on winning. Mm-hmm. And at first I wasn't a believer. Then they go into Mississippi State, and State was playing well, and they beat Mississippi. They swept them, Then they go into Oxford when Ole Miss was playing well, and they beat Ole Miss. And at that point I went, wait a minute now. You go into Mississippi State, you go into Oxford, and you win series like they did, this team's for real. I mean, I kept watching them. And the lineup they have, that lineup just keeps on coming. We saw Jalen Battles, his hits down the bottom part of that lineup, really shine. I think he won the SEC Most Valuable Player. He had some big hits. But what's different about Arkansas this year is this. Arkansas has never been a great defensive club, but this year they are. Like, they're catching the ball this year. I think they're right at the top, if not number one in the SEC when it comes to fielding percentage. That's different about them. The starters have kind of been in and out. Wicklander, all of them kind of been in and out of the rotation all year long, but they got some dudes. And then when you get to Kevin Kopp back in, like, I don't know that we've seen a reliever like this in college baseball in a long time. Like, when he comes in, it's like it's over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not for 3 outs. It's like for 3 innings. And then he'll take a day off. He'll come back for 3 more innings. And so he's got those breaking balls. He throws pretty much 90% breaking balls, but it's a different kind of breaking ball. It has a different break to it, and you see the reaction from the hitters. And so that's what's so scary about Arkansas is that when they take the lead late to a ball game, it's like with Kevin Kopp. I mean, when have we seen a reliever have 10 saves and 10 wins or something in a year? It's been a long time, you know, and he's really good. So I think Arkansas is for real. If you go through this conference and you win every SEC weekend with the schedule they play, it says something about Arkansas.
No doubt about it. Ben, a real treat, man. It's great to talk baseball with you. Can't wait to listen and watch this weekend. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Take care.
All right, you too. That's it. Ben McDonald laying it out there. Arkansas really is that much better than everybody else. Has been this year. I mean, they're going to have to, for you to go catch them and somebody to clip them, they're going to have to slip up. They play the way they have. You're not beating Arkansas. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a little fun around here this weekend for sure. Always good to talk to Ben McDonald, ESPN SEC Network. That's just the start of this show. In the Bureau, stick around.
Since 2008.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their No Bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy.
Than his hair is.
Nice hair!
It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and worldwide online at thezone1059.com.
There's one constant thread or theme in there, and talking with Ben about State hosting this weekend, about Ole Miss hosting this weekend, was the home crowd and the home ballpark and the home atmosphere, and how that plays a factor, or will. He expects it to be a factor, ultimately. One thing, too, that I think it's be smart if we remember, you have more experience than older guys on a lot of these 2 and 3 and 4 seeds than maybe you have had in the past in some ways. But, you also have a few back on these 1 seeds that you normally wouldn't have back. It's just like Coach, I say Coach, he's not a coach anymore. John Cohen yesterday on the show, we were talking about Tanner Allen, is a guy who in a normal year, last year, is a top 5 pick at the end of that season, and he's not there right now. But he's a year older and he is there. So you have a bunch of those, and it really makes it for a strong, experienced field of 64 teams. Maybe a little older just across the board, right? So it could make for an interesting weekend. There's going to be some upsets. You just go ahead and get ready for it. Ben McDonald said it in the interview. Every year you get 4 versus 1 upsets. Well, if you get them in a normal year, what are you going to get this year? We're getting some. Just get ready for it. All right, welcome back into the show. Hope you'll be a part of it. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Ben McDonald. Looking ahead to this weekend's regionals, talking a little baseball. Everybody chasing Arkansas, it feels like. Bracket just so worked out where Arkansas and Vandy are on the same side of it. So if they meet each other, it will not be in the finals of the College World Series. In a 3-game series, which I got news for you. Nobody, as good as Arkansas is, no one wants to face Vandy in the championship series, where all they got to do is beat you 2 out of 3. Because look at who their 1 and 2 on the mound are. And if they're healthy, then good luck with that. All right. Get your comments in here. If you're watching on the live stream, feel free to drop a comment there. We'll take a look, see what you got to say. Hit me up on the Country Pleasing text line. It's 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number. 885-ESPN. Text away Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. I told you I found a bunch of a big variety of flavors of Country Pleasing sausage at my local Walmart here in Tupelo. We actually have 2 of them. We actually have 3. We have 2 of the large, regular Walmarts, and then one of the, it's like the Walmart Market. I don't know. I guess that's what you call it. It's just a smaller version. And I've never been in that one, but it was in the one that's out by the mall here in Tupelo this past weekend, getting crickets to go fishing with. I had to go to the freezer section, and boom, there's a whole bunch of different flavors. So I'm going to go back and make a haul on that, maybe tonight, actually. Get your text in. Again, that number, 885-ESPN, and the phone line wide open to you. It's open. So let me hear your voice today. Call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Give me a call. And let's chat it up about the weekend. What do we have here? Denzel texted me right off the bat. He said, I can't wait to be in Starkville Saturday for State's game. I'm going to hit all the places to be. Campus Bookmart, Bulldog Burger, Two Brothers, and most importantly, the dude. I hear you, Denzel. Do it. And if you need a hat or a shirt, just take my word for it. Go to the Mississippi State University golf course. You know where it is. It's not far off campus. And because it's kind of like this little, you walk in their clubhouse, and it's like, if you're a State fan, all the types of shirts and hats that you kind of wish you could get everywhere else, that's where they have it. Try that out if you go into town, if you need stuff. Maybe hit a few balls or something while you're out there, weather permitting. Dog Tired in Florence texted the show and says, I was in the dude for the number 5 record crowd. It was MSU versus LSU. Ben was the pitcher. It was early in the year. We were frozen, unseasonably cold. Really? You know what, Dog Tired? I have not looked over the that list in a long time of the top 10 or 15 largest crowds in college baseball. You know, and I'd looked at it at one point. Of course, Mississippi State at Dudy Noble holds most of those records. You got a few in there at Alex Box at LSU, and one or two in there for in the top 15 or so, right? Or top 20 or so for Ole Miss. But it's mostly big crowds over the years at Dudy Noble. I always assumed that most of that was postseason. You know, something like that, or a big home series in May, or, you know, or like I say, a regional or a super regional. I always assumed that that's what most of those were. But you're telling me that the number 5 record crowd happened early in the year and it was really cold? So what, 15,000 people there in the freezing cold? That's something you don't see too much. Not anymore anyway. Have to go back and look that up. That's pretty cool. Hey, look over here. What do we have? On the Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer, the Hawk. Mr. Chicken Hawk is on line 1. What's up, Chicken Hawk?
Hail State. Look here, brother. I'm in a bind. I'm talking about one of them 9-line binds times 2. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. I want you to try to help me with, because you are like the man when it comes to audio, video, TV, compute, all that stuff. You're the man. So I hope you can fix this. Because, see, Lou is really for both of us, but it's more for Lou Bell than me, because Lou Bell is a super predator. I call her my little fretting Freddy. Here's what I got. I bought yesterday the Espen app, okay?
Okay.
I got an iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 8 what I got. I can do everything on my phone, but I got this thing I bought to plug into my TV that I can plug my iPhone into. And then everything on my phone comes up on the TV, and looks like a big box. And I can hit the Espen app, and then it pulls up Espen, but I can listen like to any radio show. But when I try to do the video and hit it, it does everything. But and then on my TV like this is set up on HDM1. Okay, so I go to HDM2, and HDM2 is where I'm getting all this stuff off of my phone. But it won't pull up like if I want to watch Sports Center or go to the Dominican Republic, because I can't. It won't. What's wrong? What I need to do?
Well, let's see.
Why a TV repair?
I think I have run into that also in trying to send a direct link to a TV screen. Okay, right. Let me ask you a couple of questions, Chicken Hawk. And if we don't get it figured out here in a couple minutes, we'll keep working on it. But somebody can figure this out. Who is your TV service provider? Who do you get TV from? Is it Dish? Is it what?
Yeah, Dish.
Okay, you get it from Dish. All right. Your TV itself, the actual TV you have sitting there, is it an old one or is it a new one of those smart TVs?
Well, you can plug USBs in. It's got like 2 USB ports, and then it's got this thing here where you plug this in. But I'm going to say Lou Bell had it when we got married. It ain't.
Okay.
He's going to be married 7 years. It's about 7, 8 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably not going to let you do it. In other words, like if you want to watch the game right now, your setup sounds like to me it's probably not the way that ESPN app is set up. It's probably not going to allow you to, basically HDMI that thing onto your TV screen. So here's one suggestion that I would consider if I were you. And just stay with me here. If you were to get something called an Amazon Fire Stick, all right, that is a little thing that'll come in a box and it plugs into that USB or HDMI input in that TV you have, right? Okay, it'll plug into it. And it's a little thing that plugs in there. And when it does, let's say you put that in HDMI 1 on your television and you go to, in the inputs, you go to HDMI 1. Well, it's now going to pull up the screen. Will look like almost like a computer screen, but you'll see different apps and things that are available on that Amazon Fire Stick. And whether or not you can use those different apps, Chicken Hawk, will depend on if you have a subscription. That's how people take old TVs and they can watch Hulu or they can watch Sling and all these different things, right? It's because they use an Amazon Fire Stick or something like that. Well, with the Amazon Fire Stick, also you can download it. It comes on there, the ESPN app. And once you log into that, the first time on that Amazon Fire Stick, it's on your TV, you log into it. The way you will log into it is because you are a Dish customer. And it'll ask you for your Dish login. And once you've done it, then if you want to watch that ESPN app and SEC Plus stuff on your TV, you can use that Amazon Fire Stick. Now, the music's starting, and I know that's a lot of info, but can I go buy a new TV? You could also buy a new TV, no doubt. You could go buy yourself a new smart TV for a couple $100, and you wouldn't need a Fire Stick.
I'm going to get me a new TV.
Sweet. Get you a smart TV, and wherever you get it, Chicken Hawk, they can probably walk you through that. That might be the easiest thing to do. If you don't want to get a new TV, get the Fire Stick. Everybody, wake up!
I think maybe he just needs a new TV.
Yeah, I think he does too. Get yourself a new smart TV. He probably will never regret that. He still may need some help getting it in on the Wi-Fi, but that'll be the way to go. All right. 100 teams in 100 days. Coming up next. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. But you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream Happy Beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
And he's on your radio
right now.
You got the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
JB texted the show and said, Hawk is a trip. See ya. Mansplain said, Matt, do you really think Chicken Hawk understood any of that other than TV? Somebody provided us with a link to Best Buy. What is this? Send this to Hawk and get him off the radio. What is that link right there? All right, I got to try the link and see what it is. Send me the Geek Squad. We're here to help. It's the Geek Squad, and the first thing you see is we're here to help. They said call it the Geek Squad, Chicken Hawk. Coffee Norman texted me earlier on the Country Pleasing text line at 885-ESPN, and he said, Matt, I'm hearing from Steve Robertson that we should throw a right-hander versus Sanford, and he expects Will Bednar. Has it been announced? No. As far as I know, it hasn't been announced. If y'all see it, let me know, but I haven't seen it. You know, when you say announced, I mean, here it is today, Wednesday, and I'm sure they know by now, based on what Scott Foxhall was telling us yesterday on the show, it sounded like, I mean, they would know by now who they're going to throw. But in terms of announcing it, I don't guess they have to. Probably don't. I mean, no, not unless it just leaks out or they just want to let everybody know who they're going to pitch. Yeah, it's a predominantly right-handed hitting lineup for Sanford. And the thing is, I don't have any idea what their splits are. I don't have those stats in front of me. Just because a team has right-handed hitters doesn't mean that they necessarily are worse against right-handed pitching. That's not always the case. So the splits might line it up also. You know, if Steve were to have, and he may do it, he may have access to some of that info, or, coaches certainly do, and the splits may tell you, yeah, they've tattooed left-handed pitching or something. Well, or maybe their power numbers are against left-handed pitching. Whatever that matchup you want is. Again, just conventional stuff. That's the reason we see matchups a lot late in games is key situation, right-handed hitter at the plate. You bring in a guy as a right-handed pitcher and throw in breaking stuff and make it hard on them to square one up and hit it out of the park. And, so that could certainly, that could certainly be a part of it. Again, as of right now, I don't think we have any kind of announcement on who the starting pitcher is going to be. True Maroon on the Country Please in Texas says Ben McDonald and Kyle Peterson are the best in the game. They really are good analysts. Kyle Peterson's the one Annabeth likes. Anytime he's on TV and she hears it, she's like, oh, that guy's good. Yep. He's good, knows his stuff. Former major leaguer out of Stanford, got the golden pipes to go along with it. Some people have it. Jay in Baltimore says, whatever the Matt Wyatt show pays Chicken Hawk for his appearances, it's not enough. Well, Jay, I would just tell you that 0 in most instances isn't enough. Because that's what we're paying him. 0. Okay, got it? All right, got it. Now, as I promised you, I just really enjoy doing this. Today, we are 94 days away from Saturday, September the 4th, when State's going to tee it up and play football. A lot of teams around the country. That first full Saturday of college football is 94 days from now. Now, we're going to have some games before then, including in this example, team number 94 on the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days is... It is the Fresno State Bulldogs out there. What are they in, the Mountain West? Yeah, they're in the Mountain West. They're spelling out Bulldogs here, by the way. Go Dogs! Yeah, Fresno State played a grand total of 6 games last year. They went 3-3. A smooth 500. You know, that was a conference out there out west where, you know, some teams played 6 games. Another played 7. Hawaii played 9 games. San Diego State got to play 8. Nevada played 9. Boise State played 7. San Jose State, who won their conference last year, or finished at the top of their conference last year anyway, they played 8 games. Like say, Fresno State only played 6. Okay, so this year, week 2, pretty interesting. Let me back up. It's week 2 for Fresno State. They go to Oregon. Okay, so they go to Eugene, take on the Oregon Ducks. It's week 2 for Fresno State because they actually opened the season on August the 28th by hosting UConn out there in Fresno. So in 94 days from today, September the 4th, Fresno will go to Oregon. It'll actually be Fresno's second game of the year. It'll be the season opener for Oregon, is how that shakes out. Who is this? They play somebody in week 3, and it says CP. Who's CP? Cal Poly? Cal Poly. The Cal Poly Mustangs. So that's going to be an FCS team. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, FCS. Big Sky. They're in the same conference with Montana. There you go. Okay. So Cal Poly, I didn't know that. I was not familiar with CP. That's who they play in week 3. Week 4, they play at UCLA. So if you look at the first 4 games of the year for Fresno State, UConn at Oregon, Pac-12, then host CP, then at UCLA, Pac-12. And then they get in their conference play. They have home games in conference out in the Mountain West with UNLV, Nevada, Boise State, and New Mexico. Road games in the conference at Hawaii. Oh, that's a tough road trip, isn't it? At Hawaii, at Wyoming, at San Diego State. Finish the year at San Jose State. I'm sure that's a rivalry game for them. Let me point something out for you real quick, shall I? Fresno State alumni. First of all, you need to know, the name of the school isn't Fresno State. It's not Fresno State University. The actual name of the school is California State University at Fresno, or Fresno. How about that? But you didn't even know that. It's not, we refer to it as Fresno State, but the technical name of the school is California State University. Fresno. That's what it is. Some people that have gone there, graduated there, played there, whatever. Trent Dilfer, Remember him? David Carr, number 1 pick for the Texans when they expanded and had a team out in Texas. David Carr. Let's see any others. Devontae Adams, receiver for the Green Bay Packers, is from there. Oh, and by the way, another famous alum from Fresno State happens to be the head football coach of the University of Mississippi, Lane Kiffin. See, y'all had forgotten this story. Lane Kiffin was a quarterback at Fresno State. It wasn't going too well. There was a young quarterback in the room and on the field who was getting all the attention, who became that number 1 pick, David Carr. Okay? And the story, you can go back and read it, but the story was Lane Kiffin was, he walked out of practice one day. Like the story went, and David Carr told the story. David Carr started getting all the reps. So one day, Lane Kiffin, who's the older quarterback, he just walked off the practice field, gone. Came back out, had on coaching attire, coaching shorts, coaching shirt, whistle around his neck. The coaches were like, what's going on? What are you doing? And according to them, Lane Kiffin says to the coaches, well, if you're going to give all my reps away to this guy, I figure I might as well coach. And so, boom. So began the coaching career of one Lane Kiffin, noted Fresno State alum. Team number 94 on the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days. All right, over to the phone line real quick. Tony on line 1 has a quick question. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Matt. Hey, I was just thinking about that UConn-Fresno matchup.
Yeah.
My gosh, how much money would it cost UConn to fly everybody out there for 3.5 days?
I don't know if it's not some neutral site thing, but I don't see anything saying that it is. CBS Sports Network, it says right now it's noted that it's going to be in Fresno. That's what I'm saying. UConn, think about all the football teams that UConn's going to fly over to get to Fresno.
Yeah, I mean, is Fresno paying them a guarantee or something to defer all that? I mean, that's got to cost a ton of money, right? For what, 100 people probably, I guess?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what are we talking about there? How many miles? 2,000 something miles?
Well, I mean, from Connecticut to Cali, I mean that's 3,000 miles, right?
Is it 3,000? You've got my curiosity.
And if you play on Saturday afternoon, you gotta get on the airplane early Thursday morning, I guess, right, to get over there and get situated.
Yes, you do. You know, just to get rid of the jet lag.
We're talking $1 million to get everybody there and back, Bobby, and all that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you here. Here it is right here. Mansfield, Connecticut to Fresno, California, 3,043 miles. If you drove it, it would take you 45 hours to get there.
No thanks.
No thanks, Tony. Appreciate the call.
Thanks.
I mean, it literally is from one coast to the other. It is absolutely coast to coast, only that Fresno is slightly inland. But you can smell the ocean from Fresno. When you leave Mansfield, Connecticut, you can see the ocean. How about that? That's a head scratcher. They're going to play it on August the 28th. I know that much. All right, that's hour 1. Hour 2 coming up. We'll talk with Coach Mike Bianco of Ole Miss. That and more in the Bureau. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage.
is outstanding. Whether you cook it over a fire or in the house, cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor, you see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Divinity Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their No Bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Their time to save lives. every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
Time, John.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2 of the show. Off and running. And away we go. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents all across the great state of Mississippi. This weekend, a couple of home teams trying to advance to Super Regionals. State hosting 3 teams in Starkville. Ole Miss hosting 3 teams in Oxford. Pretty tough field when you look at it. Not only the 2 and the 3 for Ole Miss and Oxford, when you're talking about Southern Miss coming in there, that they can absolutely win the regional. There's no question. Florida State, it's a program that recently made a transition from a long-time head coach to new, and, it's going through a little bit of a transition there. But, it's a program that recruits at a high level, that plays good competition. They're playing Florida and Miami and those, and, of course, the ACC schedule every year. So they've seen good pitching. They can swing it. They recruit at a high level. So all it's got to happen for them is a light bulb come on. They can maybe win it. And then, you look at SEMO, Southeast Missouri State. They won their conference tournament. They have a guy who I haven't seen him pitch, but, I'm a half-wit. I can look at stats. Now, stats are like bikinis. They'll show you a lot, but not everything. But trust me, these are pretty good numbers. Okay, when you're talking about 100-plus strikeouts and giving up only 28 earned runs in 90 innings throughout a year, there ain't a whole lot of people putting a bat on the ball against this guy. So this is a tough regional. But there's no question. The best team in it is the 1 seed, and they seem to get better and better and play some of their best baseball, including pitch some of their best baseball as recently as last week. Let's talk about it right now with Mike Bianco, head baseball coach, Ole Miss, on your radio on the Davini Equipment phone line. Mike, I really do appreciate some time, and I know it's one of those things where you've got a lot of better things to do than to talk about it. So I appreciate it. But this is a tough field of 3 teams coming in there this weekend in Oxford. It ought to be really competitive baseball, shouldn't it?
No, no doubt. And I'm sure if you interview the other 63 coaches about the NCAA tournament, they're all going to talk about how their regional's tough and it's a tough draw. You get to this point of the year, regardless of names and conference affiliation, everybody's good. They're all playing well at this point, or they wouldn't be here. They're all won their conference tournament or had terrific years to get an at-large bid, and it's that time. But yeah, obviously, I heard a little bit of what you said about SEMO, Dodd, and pitcher of the year and the OVC, and a team that not only won their tournament but also won their conference regular season. Mm-hmm. So it's not one of those teams that's 20 and 35. This is a team that's got 30+ wins and it's had a lot of success this year.
Sure. So that kid's name for SEMO, the pitcher, is Dylan Dodd, and I was just looking again at numbers, Coach. I haven't seen him pitch. I don't even know if he's right-handed, left-handed. I just see 113.
Left-handed.
Okay, so he's a lefty. 113 strikeouts in 90 2/3 and gave up 28 earned runs all year. But the other thing is he only walked 14 guys in 90 innings. Give me sort of kind of scouting report, like what kind of pitcher he is.
Well, he's obviously, you've read off his numbers a couple times now. I'll be happy when I don't have to hear them anymore. They're so good. But it's a terrific arm, and it's not. It's a left-handed power arm. A guy that's going to throw the ball in the low 90s, and a guy that's got a curve, a slider, and a change, 4-pitch mix. but attack hitters, and not different than some of the really good arms that we've faced in the Southeastern Conference. But not your typical 4 seed arm running out there and to start a regional.
Sure. I wanted to ask you, Coach, about your squad and confidence and momentum. That stuff gets brought up so much, but I just watching your team play, but particularly watching some of these guys pitch in Hoover, particularly the outing from Daniels and the outing from Myers. I know that was in a game that didn't go the right way ultimately, but he really pitched well. Am I right in reading it right? It seemed that those outings kind of gave that team some confidence, gave your bunch some confidence coming into this regional week.
Well, Matt, as a former athlete, how much confidence can play in your performance.
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeling good and you're feeling confident, you feel that you're going to succeed. It doesn't matter if you're throwing a football pass or you're pitching a ball or hitting, whatever you're doing. If you feel better about it, then obviously you're going to do better.
Sure.
And so you remember the last time you were out there, and for some of those guys, like certainly McDaniel was terrific. Diamond was terrific. He's had a couple good outings in a row, and those starters have had success. But it's nice that they've had success, prior to the regional. But other guys that stood out were Jack Doherty, was tremendous in the game that you're talking about, the Vandy game that didn't work out the way we wanted. But he was terrific. And then, of course, Brandon Johnson, I think, had 3 appearances. And so he may have had, dating back to the Vandy series here, maybe 5 appearances in a row where he's been pretty dominant. So, yeah, I that would be the thing, going into the last few weeks that we wanted to shore up, and certainly it looks like we did.
Mike Bianco, head baseball coach, Ole Miss, on your radio. Coach, have you made a decision on who's going to throw for you in Game 1 on Friday night?
Yes, we have. We're going to start Derek Diamond.
Okay. What goes into that decision? I mean, some things are obvious, but I'm just curious, whether it's rest or whether it's matchup. What's kind of the predominant, deciding factors in choosing a guy to throw that first ball game?
Well, I think the overriding, factor, and this is just being as candid as anybody can be, and it's not taking anything away from, SEMO or Southern Miss or Florida State, that you to win the regional, you got to win at least 3 games in a row or come through the losers bracket. And everybody wants to get off to a good start, and certainly we know your best opportunity is to win that first game. But if you lose the first game or you win and then lose the second game, your path to the championship is the same. And so the goal is to win the first 2. Because if you win the first 2, then you only need to win 1 more game to win the regional. And if you lose one of the first 2, then you got to come back and basically win 3 more games. And so we're going to pitch Derek. The Game 1, we think he's ready for it. He's the Southeastern Conference starter, and he's rested and ready to go. And thankfully, because the way the SEC tournament worked out, he only had to pitch once, and he's ready to go. And then we got our ace Doug Nikhazy to face. Hopefully, if we win, the winner between Florida State and Southern Miss.
So I think I talked to just about everybody else about this, at least in an interview. This would be my first chance to bring it up and just kind of hear how you describe it. Nikhazy, I don't want to say underrated. It's just, when people talk about pitchers, the conversation always goes to the 2 guys at Vandy. We always talk about Cops. And so it's like we get through a couple of guys in the conversation before we get to Nikhazy, and that's kind of across the league and even on the TV games. But then when you look, Coach, at just what he's done and how consistent, how competitive he is every time out, do you feel like it's almost gone a little bit underappreciated how good he has been this year?
I don't think we concern ourselves with that. I mean, I'll take you for your word. I mean, he was picked, all SEC first team by the coaches, and you can't vote for your own people.
Right.
And so, he was first team all SEC, so he was selected by the 13 other coaches. And so, So that's one.
Yeah.
So I think people in our league understand. Now, from your standpoint, the media and the way you guys project things, and
Right.
you know, I think sometimes you guys in your in this. I hate to lump you in with it, Matt, but you are in the media. You know, I think sometimes it's easy to kind of fall into that. You know, it's kind of, you know, the flavor of the month, or, you know, what all the stories are about. And, you know, the couple of the guys that you talked about, Leiter and, Kumar Rocker, they're very deserving of all the information that's out there about them, and they are going to be very high picked. But I think, you know, people that watch college baseball, people that watch the SEC, and certainly, you know, in our locker room and our fans, we like Doug as much as we like anybody in the country.
Sure. Coach, I got a question here from a listener. He lives in Baltimore, Maryland. And by the way, he's a big Orioles fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jay in Baltimore. He's a big State fan. Okay, so keep in mind, this is coming from a diehard Bulldog. But he's a big Orioles fan, so he definitely had a question or two for Ben McDonald when he was on earlier. But his question is, as a coach and former catcher, he'd love to hear your thoughts around the idea out there somewhere down the road of different technology for calling balls and strikes. Because we've had this conversation on the show. We had a minor league deal that was, experimenting with that. Just the idea of electronic balls and strikes, or the possibility of that. How does that land on people like you who coach in the game and play in the game? How do you feel about it?
I really cringe. First of all, I can see it happening at the major league level, much faster just because of technology. And you're only talking about 30 stadiums, things that trickle down to our level because it's not the SEC. It's also McNeese State. It's Jackson State. It's Memphis, Tennessee Martin. You can't have a rule for one and not have a rule for everyone. And so it's tougher when you get to that part, especially if you're going to talk about balls and strikes and in a box and, is it in there? So that's one. I think, financially, the economics of it, to me, I don't see that happening at the college level. The second thing that people don't talk about is the truth of the matter is, I don't think we want that in college baseball. If we had to call only the strikes that were in the box, there'd be a lot more walks. People don't understand. If you watch the game and you get the analytics after the game, the strike zone in college baseball is bigger than it is in Major League Baseball. And if you shrunk it down, you're talking about more walks, there's more offense. I don't think any of us, I think if you voted on it, I don't know if it'd be unanimous, but man, it'd be up there where people just don't want that. There's always, umpires are calling, strikes a half a ball off, and I get it. It's frustrating when one doesn't go your way. I understand that, but there's 300 pitches, and watch a major league game. They're messing up and they're calling pitch, and they're the best in the world. Yeah. And they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this for a living, and they miss some balls that are either in the box or out of the box and calling them, the wrong pitch. So, for that reason, I think the two reasons is, we don't want that small of a strike zone in college baseball, and two, financially, I just don't see it. Heck, we're trying to. Your great piece on uneven. We're trying to fight for some scholarships. We don't need to worry about everybody getting a computer that can match up and call strikes for us.
Yeah, right. The budget. We need to be real careful what's budgeted for what. I totally get that from a baseball perspective. Mike Bianco on your radio right now. Hey, Coach, on that Friday night, being the home team, the host team, how do you make the decision on whether you want to play that early game at 2 or whatever it is, or to opt in there and play that night game, which you guys are going to do? You're going to play the second game on Friday night. How do you decide which one you want to play?
We've always played it that way. Somewhere about 10, 15 years ago, those teams started opting for that first game. And really their reasoning behind it is if we lose, our guys get some rest. Well, first of all, you're not supposed to lose. I know you can. We've lost it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be egotistical, but you're supposed to win. Yeah. And I think, it's really unfair to your fans. You play at home for your fans, and to make them have to get to your ballpark at 2:00 in the afternoon and sit in the heat. I don't think that's most everybody would rather. If you ask the kids, if you ask the fans, most people would want to play at nighttime. And the only advantage of playing in the day is if you lose the first game, you get some rest. So we chose to, we need to win. I get it. It's tough. It's a regional. But, we'd rather play, when it's a little cooler outside and get more fans in the stands.
When you look across the field of 64 teams that are in it, Coach, and this is not specific to any one or two or three teams, I'm just saying kind of overall, with the COVID year, the draft that didn't happen for so many older players last year, and therefore just the automatic that across college baseball, there are more seniors. There are more super seniors, like on any roster, every roster. Because of the experience on the teams in this year's tournament, does it make this one unlike any of the other tournaments we've ever had, given it, teams just have more older players?
Certainly we have older players. I mean, I think that's a given. I think what you're really getting at is it more talented?
Yeah.
And I would say yes. And I think that's I've been asked a lot this year, not just because of all our injuries, but how, injuries across the board, across the country. And I don't know if there's necessarily more injuries, but because I think there's more higher end players in college baseball this year, you hear about those injuries more often.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about a Gunnar Hoagland or you hear about a Tim Elko. There's more of those players around. Remember, Tim Elko probably wouldn't have been here. Mm-hmm. He would have signed last year. He was having a great year. He was a draft-eligible junior. And so I think there's more cases like that where some of your, there's a lot more higher-end players, and so there's a better chance that, injuries are part of the game, and, there's a certain percentage of guys that are going to get hurt during the season. And so when, I think you have better players out on the field. So back to your question, I think, yes, it's a slam dunk answer of yes, that, I think that the field, there's older players out there. But I think the real, thing that you're asking is, I think, there's better teams out there, more talent on the field for everyone.
You ever seen anything quite like what Elko is doing on one knee?
No. We've never had a torn ACL in baseball. I've coached for 30 years.
Wow.
Never seen one. And, I've heard of it. Heard of, obviously a football injury, a very common football injury. Mm-hmm. But, we've never seen one. So when it happened, we just really didn't know what to do. And, of course, everybody assumed, like football, okay, he's going to get it, and he's going to have surgery. And then when somebody said, well, there's a chance he might be able to swing, but nobody really knows. Everybody reacts, anatomically a little different, and gave us a little hope. But still, I don't think any of us really thought that it was going to happen. But with each week, and credit Tim, just a positive attitude, just a positive spirited guy, has worked his tail off and then started hitting. And all of a sudden, they said, hey, he's going to hit live on the field today. You start watching, you go, wow. He looks. If you didn't look at his pants and see the brace protruding through, you'd say, "Man, he looks like he always has." And so, it's an amazing thing, and what a great story it's been for not only us, I think, but for college baseball.
It's just incredible. I watched him tag up. I think it was in Hoover. He tagged up, went from second to third, and I had one of these old guy moments where I went, you know what? I don't think I could outrun him, and he's got one bad leg. He actually gets around pretty good. Considering.
Yeah, he's good. He wishes the bases were straight. That 90-degree turn is the only thing that really gives him trouble. And so, but running straight ahead, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
It's pretty incredible. Mike, you've been through it so many times. I guess you're 20, 21 years into this, just at Ole Miss now. No stranger to the postseason. You've hosted a bunch of times. You've been to Omaha. Is the build-up during the week of this regional, the angst, if you want to call it butterflies, whatever, that feeling, is it the same now as it's always been for you?
I think for the games it is. I think what I've been really fortunate about here at Ole Miss with the administration is how awesome, I want to say this is, I think, our 7th or 8th time to host. I'm not sure. But our administration is so committed to putting on a great tournament, and the people that are involved in doing so. There's so many hands on deck this time of year where most in the athletic departments are taking a little break right before football. our people are used to it and very professional and put on a great tournament. And I think that part of it has freed me up to not feel as much, stress during the week. I mean, now it's just, prepare for the teams and get ready for the games. And everybody will have some butterflies and be a little nervous once Friday gets here. But I think the leading up to it, our administration does such a wonderful job that it's taken a lot off of us. Or in the early years when we weren't used to doing this, I think I was a little more stressed out. Now I feel all right now.
That's great. That's great. You hate to say that. I mean, it becomes old hat, but like you say, you've done it 8 times, hosted those regionals, hosted supers, and two, isn't it cool? We got about a minute left, Coach. Isn't it cool how just the people in Mississippi get totally invested in the sport of college baseball, especially in the postseason?
Yeah, it really is. And somebody just yelled at me. They said 10. So
okay,
I guess it's 10 regionals. How about that? I don't even know. So we're not counting them over here, but that's a lot. But anyway, yeah. I don't know, and I think it's hard sometimes because you wear your colors. You're wearing the black and gold or the maroon or the red and blue, and you're proud of your school, and all those schools have had, Southern and State and us as well have had so much success, over the years. I think sometimes you forget how good all the other teams are because you want to beat them so bad, right?
Right.
But you forget, how good, and I think if you're a college baseball fan and you live in the state of Mississippi, but you were born and bred somewhere else and you're not necessarily wearing one of those colors, you might look around and go, man, how fortunate is this to watch all this really good college baseball? In a state with just under 3 million in population.
Yep.
Man, we play some really good baseball in this state.
Really do. Well, and there'll be more of it this weekend. Mike, I really do appreciate your time. Looking forward to watching y'all play starting on Friday night at Swayze. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you soon. That's Mike Bianco, head baseball coach, Ole Miss, playing SEMO and a left-handed fireballer. And they're going to put their own right-handed fireballer out there, Derek Diamond, and see what happens. Put it out there. Let the chips fall. It won't be long. Hour 2, just getting started. Y'all stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy Birdseye. Better buy Birdseye.
Yes, always look for this Birdseye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Birdseye buy this week is Birdseye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Birdseye. Better buy Birdseye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden, as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor. A delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold.
And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert, Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Sports Talk. I'm talking way back. It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone.
Here we go. All right, hope you enjoyed the conversation with Coach Mike Bianco. Looking ahead of their weekend, hosting 3 good baseball teams. Now, we really only touched on SEMO. That's who they play on Friday night. Derek Diamond will be on the mound for Ole Miss. And SEMO has a big kid named Dodds who, left-hander. His numbers are through the roof. You know, he's not – it's true. I mean, he's not facing SEC hitters throughout the year putting up those kinds of numbers. But, you know, when you're talking about over 90 innings, 112 strikeouts, you've given up less than 30 earned runs in 90 innings and walked 14 guys all year. So he just went out there against his level of competition and just pounded the strike zone, said hit it, and very, very, very few people could. So the thing is, for a kid like that, you know, the challenge is stepping out there on the mound in front of 13,000 people at Swayze and doing the same thing. It's, you know, you either respond or you don't. And two, you know, really even more so, you get past the whole crowd factor. It's having good stuff and hitting your spots and managing a lineup like Ole Miss's that has been putting up runs on everybody. And they don't have really any weak spots in their lineup. So that's an interesting deal, whole interesting dynamic. And the 2 and the 3, you got Florida State and Southern Miss squaring off in that first game on Friday. And we look ahead to that just because it's one of those where, you know, either of those teams come out of it, they're going to have to deal with Nikhazy. You know, assuming it's in a winner's bracket and Ole Miss can get past SEMO, the way that works out, you know Nikhazy's going to throw game 2. You just, if you're Ole Miss, you're hoping it's in a winner's bracket game, but they know that's who you're going to have to deal with if you move on and face Ole Miss in that second round. Like I said, you know, the regionals are so much different than what we get used to thinking throughout the year in a typical 3-game series format is, you know, you got to go win 3 in a row or else you're looking at winning it out of the loser's bracket. It's tough stuff. And the super regionals are much more normal feeling, right? 3-game series, we get it. And that's pretty simple to understand because we're in that 3-game mindset all year. The regionals are totally different. You're talking about 4 teams and using 4 starting pitchers potentially, depending on how the other games go and that kind of stuff. All right, open it up to you. Going to get your comments here on the live stream. You can text me as well in the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN or 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Hi to everybody on the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, elsewhere, feel free to comment, and we can have a conversation that way. This is a little bit of breaking news here. If you've taken a peek at Twitter over the last, 30 minutes or so, or if you're someone who, like, you get the notifications on your phone, then, you may have seen this. But Mike Krzyzewski is going to retire from Duke basketball at the end of this next year. Now, I'm just pulling up a deal here to give you some of the details, but it's out there. He is the winningest coach in Division I men's basketball history. 5 national championships at Duke, 41 seasons as the coach there at Duke. That's most of my life. I'm old and bald and gray. I make it sound worse than it is. It ain't that bad. Anyway, he's going to coach one more year at Duke and retire. Associate head coach John, I don't know if you pronounce it Shire or Shayer, but it's one of those. He has agreed to become the next head coach at Duke. He will be the coach in waiting this next year, this next season, the 21-22 season. Now, this story over at ESPN says that they did talk to outside candidates about replacing Krzyzewski, who, by the way, is 74 years old. That included Harvard coach Tommy Amaker. But the guy who's already there, going to get it. Had big-time, support from former players. He was a lead recruiter for some of their recent stars, including Zion Williamson. So there you go. Mike Krzyzewski, all-time. He's the winningest coach in men's Division I basketball history. Just one of 6 coaches to reach 900 victories in men's basketball. Krzyzewski, he's got 1,170. The next closest is Jim Boeheim with 982. Jim Calhoun with 918. Roy Williams with 903, who he just hung him up. Bobby Knight with 902 wins. And then Bob Huggins at 900. Well, those guys have been around for a while. Naismith Hall of Famer Mike Krzyzewski. He's at or near the top of most of the career lists out there in men's basketball. So he's first in wins. He's tied for first in NCAA tournament appearances with 35. He's first in the number of 30-win seasons, got 15 of those. He's tied for first in Final Four appearances, 12. He is second in Final Four wins with 14 of them. He is second in national titles. As we said, he's got 5 national championships at Duke in 41 years. Trying to get 6 this year in his last year, we'll see. He trails John Wooden, who's got 10. So national titles, John Wooden number 1 with 10, Krzyzewski number 2 with 5. And he's first all-time in NBA first-round draft picks, got 41 of those. 41 first-round draft picks in 41 years as a coach. That is a pretty decent ratio. So that's your breaking news out there today, is that Krzyzewski is going to sail off into the sunset. Coach K retires. Roy Williams retiring from North Carolina. Urban Meyer turned down Texas. Aaron Torres pointing this out, those things out, that college athletics is changing in front of our eyes, and no one really realizes it. So you look at Krzyzewski retiring, Roy Williams, guys like Urban Meyer. You take an Urban Meyer who turned down Texas to go coach in the NFL. And then he said this, right or wrong, none of the old school guys know what's coming in the name, image, and likeness era, the one-time transfer era, and they don't want to stick around to find out. I mean, but, it's interesting. But, I mean, Roy Williams was getting on up there. How old is Roy Williams? He's up there in his 70s. Krzyzewski's 74. I mean, how long are these guys going to coach anyway? How old is Saban? I don't even know how old Nick Saban is. I ought to know, but I don't. There's 3 examples, but you could find some others, I'm sure. But I think there's probably something to that. We're going to see some of the older, more established. They've already got, millions of dollars in the bank. It ain't about money anymore for these guys. And they're like, hey, they ain't dealing with college athletics. The heck with that. Move on to something else. I'll go fishing. Coach a little league. Coach in the NFL. We don't have to recruit. It's already pro. It's easier to understand. Something to think about for sure. Something to think about. Louvier on the Country Pleasing text line. Good to hear from you, Louvier. Says, my wall has 2 diplomas, both of my kids, from MSU, and my closet has $60,000 worth of maroon shirts and ties. But I am absolutely pulling for the 3 teams from the great state of Mississippi. Pulling for all 3? I hear you, man. Bill did the research. Saban is 68 years old. Shoot, man, he can coach for a smooth 6 or 7 more years, can he, Bill?
Yes, sir.
I mean, no more difficult.
He's only a year older than I am. Come on now.
Exactly. See, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just not that old anymore. I mean, 68 used to sound old to me. It ain't old. And I mean, in reality, it's just not anymore. Am I projecting there? I just really don't think it's that. Look at Saban. He could easily go for 6 or 7 more years at Alabama. And he's got it knocked. Just sit back, open your door, welcome in 25 more 5-stars every year, sign them up, go win, move on.
No problem.
No, it's that easy. Denzel says, let Chicken Hawk know, go to Walmart in Forest and tell him to go to electronics, speak to a good friend of mine, CJ. You hear that, Chicken Hawk? CJ at Walmart in Forest will hook you up on getting your ESPN app on a new TV. That's according to Denzel. See, we're one big happy family here helping each other out. Jason in Flagstaff texted the show. Dude from a Huntsville Sports Show just tweeted this, and I'm beside myself trying to choose between 14 football and the 04-05 basketball tournament team. Okay, he goes, you have to erase one of these guys from sports history. Is it Nick Saban or Coach K? What a question. Where's this guy's head? See, what Jason is saying is if you were to erase Nick Saban from history, then the 14 Mississippi State team might have a chance. All right?
Yeah, I got a correction on his age, too. He is 69 now.
Yeah, okay, Scott.
Yeah.
Man, Scott.
October 31st is when he was born in 1951. He's a Halloween baby.
How about this?
Scary.
My man Scott, who's a former Auburn Tiger defensive lineman, fire breathing, put his hand in the dirt, D-tackle, D-end, pass rusher. Scott texted the show in the Country Pleasing text line and said, Nick Saban is 69. Not that anybody cares.
Well, he's born on October 31st, so that's why he's so scary.
Yeah, he's born on Halloween. Scott said, not that anybody cares. That's great. All right, stick around.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show. On 105.9 The Zone.
Back with you. Live in the Bureau, I'm Matt. In the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Patting myself on the back again because I rationed out the coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Hot coffee in the thermos, plenty of it left for the remainder of the show. Go to highpointroasters.com. highpointroasters.com and order some coffee there from my man Dan the Coffee Man. It'll show up at your house, and before you even open the box, you'll go, I know what this is. It'll make your whole mailbox smell good. Trust me. Or you do like me. One time I got an order in from High Point Roasters. It was in my mailbox. And I mean, it's all sealed up and taped up, but I put it in the car because I drove up to the mailbox, opened it, put it in the passenger seat, and then drove up the driveway, pulled into the garage, shut the garage door, and forgot. And left it in that car. And so then the next time you get back in the car, you're like, whoa! It smells like Starbucks in there, or like Strange Brew. Like you go in and you're like, wow, it smells like a coffee shop in my car. It's actually a pretty good air freshener if you ever to need it, I guess. Just put some in there, make it smell better. But get it right there, High Point Roasters and highpointroasters.com. Order it, shows up at your house, and it is the best coffee. Trust me on that. So we kicked it around a little bit. Saban is 69 years old. He'll be 70 on October 31st on his birthday. And I just be honest with you, I had this thought. I forget what spurred this thought earlier today. I don't even know if it was conversation or what. I had it on my mind as I was doing some other work and all. But the question of what's the landscape right now in college athletics from an NCAA enforcement standpoint? And here's what I mean by that. I don't mean, hey, who's being investigated right now? That's not what I mean. With all the changes going on, name, image, and likeness one, the transfer stuff, all these bigger issues that you've had, paying the players. We just went through a pandemic where we didn't have a year for many of our teams and all this stuff. And, some of the transfer restrictions got loosened because of the pandemic. Anyway, you can point to any number of things. How we're standing here right now at a time when college athletics is just different and it is changing by the day. Oh, I know what it was. It's that football recruiting, the dead period in recruiting just got lifted. They've had basically like a year-long dead period because of pandemic stuff, keeping them away from each other. So you haven't had in-person recruiting. You have not had on-campus camps with kids and families coming in the droves and, in-house visits and all this stuff. That just opened up on June the 1st. You don't have to follow a lot of college football media on Twitter to know that there was this big anticipation that it was about to be the Wild West with coaches and everybody trying to make up for lost time and finally back on the road recruiting and having camps and in person and getting to know this kid and getting to know that kid. And, it's just going to be a run on recruiting and no sleep for weeks for college coaches, all this kind of stuff. And I remember this morning I was thinking, okay, what about NCAA enforcement? Is it just out the window? And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. Maybe it should. I don't know. It's like if we're being honest, if you go back 20 years ago, at the beginning of the 2000s even, and certainly before that, it's just anybody who followed college athletics, you had a certain picture in your head, an understanding of the framework that everybody operated within inside of college athletics. There was always the enforcement arm that if you did something really wrong or really against the rules to try to get an advantage or to sway a recruit or whatever, then, if you got caught, you're going to get in trouble. Somebody would punish you. The NCAA would give you sanctions and punish you and all this kind of stuff based on that. And I'm sitting here going, well, as of right now, here 20 years later, we're in 2021, the most recent big, I don't want to call it scandal, but just infractions case where penalties were actually given out to a school. Who was it? Was it Ole Miss? I can't think of one where the penalties were actually handed out that took longer for them to investigate or was more in the news or was reportedly farther reaching than what Ole Miss went through 2016, 17, whenever that stuff started to come to a close. We're within 3 or 4 years of it. And then the penalties were actually handed down, whatever they were. See, I know we've had the basketball FBI scandal deal, but have you had any NCAA penalties actually handed out? No. You've got the LSU thing going on right now. Multifaceted. It does involve athletics. There's multiple stories, not just the sexual harassment claims and lawsuit, but I'm talking about like the guy who was funneling money to a player and his family and all those things. That's still out there, right? Like as far as penalties, they self-imposed themselves a bowl ban, but that was this past season, the 2020 season. So it's not like the NCAA has handed out the penalties yet. They haven't. I really think. Now, Bill is bringing up here on the Country Pleasing text line. He says, Matt, didn't Missouri recently get in some trouble and have penalties issued to them? I think they did, yeah. And maybe it was, Bill, more recent than the Ole Miss deal. I'd have to look and see. It involved, didn't it involve baseball and one other sport maybe? It seems like the baseball thing was maybe back in 2019, and they lifted some of it. After they had given out penalties, like Missouri appealed and maybe got some of it negated. I don't know. You'd have to go look and see. So maybe Missouri's on there too, I guess. Well, anyway, regardless, I guess what I'm looking at is we're at a time right now, summer of 2021, where after a year-long dead period, recruiting is opened back up. At the same time as we've got name, image, and likeness bills being signed all across the country that go into effect on July the 1st, at the same time as transfer rules have been opened wide open, at the same time as interconference transfer rules have been opened wide open, and coaches are on record in stories all over the place from SI to ESPN saying tampering is going on. And I just can't help but think the reset button is being pressed. Instead of it being somebody slamming their hand down on the reset button of college athletics and it going, when we all get to stand back and watch the mushroom cloud, instead it's like somebody has the lever over there and they're just slowly pulling the lever down. Slowly but surely. It's like a dimmer switch on the lights and, the inset lighting in your living room, okay? We're slowly but surely dimming the lights. We're not flicking them all off at once. And that's what's happening with the change in the NCAA. And so what is happening from an NCAA enforcement standpoint? That's what I want to know. Because right now, what is to stop some enterprising booster fan base out there at any school? Just pick a school. What is to stop that bunch that now recruiting is opened up, and visits and contact are opened up, from greasing and facilitating the recruiting for their program or their school that they care about without any concern whatsoever for NCAA enforcement? What are they going to do? They're going to come in here and investigate you and hand you some penalties before they finish up this LSU thing? Really? Because I got news for you. No, they're not. Here's another question for you. Right now, with everything I've mentioned, summer of 2021, what's a scale of 1 to 10? How afraid is anybody in the college athletics world of NCAA enforcement? And what was that 20 years ago? What was that 25 years ago? You go back to 95, 1990, 85. What was it back then? What was it 20 years ago? I mean, it never was really, you were never that confident that they were investigating everybody the same way, but you were always confident if you got caught and it went public, they're going to pop you. And it was going to be swift and it was going to sting. What's the percentage of people in college athletics now that feel that way? It's almost zero. And I'm not exaggerating. Okay. I guess to sum up those thoughts, look, the reset button, it's not a button. The reset dimmer switch is slowly being turned on college athletics and the NCAA. And I will be surprised. I will be very, very surprised that in the money sports, football and basketball, in the big money sports, there in somebody, some team somewhere that comes out of nowhere, and is stacking up 4- and 5-star recruits like firewood and transforms the paint job of their brand almost overnight. You remember I told you that on June the 2nd, 2021. Get back to me 1 year from now, and we'll be talking about who it is. Hour 3 coming up. If you leave us, have a great night.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beechnut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beechnut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Show. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right. Here we go. Hour number 3 of the show. Off and running, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. I've told you this before. I hope you'll remember this. If you ever have a residential need in Starkville, so if you're moving there, obviously, you got to have a place to live. But maybe if it's not a permanent place to live, investment property, a condo that's yours when you come into town for ball games. If you have a student going to school there this next fall, you need to lease an apartment. Check them out. They can help you with all of that. Go see Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties in Starkville. And you can find all the contact info at overstreetproperties.com. Here I am in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. However you are listening, I appreciate you. If you're on the live stream, hey to y'all, got some folks watching over on the YouTube live stream. Get to some of your comments. Just drop a comment, hit it right there, and we'll get a chance to see what you have to say. You can text me on the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' Sausage, on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best sausage, hands down, period. End of story. Trust me. And then you can call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. At the beginning of the show, we talked to Ben McDonald, former LSU starting pitcher, number 1 draft pick of the Orioles back in the late 80s. Made his major league debut, I believe it was in 89 when he made his major league debut, pitched in the majors for several years with Baltimore and finished up in Milwaukee, just 2 teams over the course of a decade in the majors. And now you see him in college baseball coverage around here, and he really is just an awesome analyst. He's entertaining. He's just got a little bit of everything. Great guy, too. Really nice fella. And before that, I was kind of just, something that I bring up from time to time, just reminding us how fortunate we are that you, the people of Mississippi, you love college baseball, and it becomes a really fun thing this time of year. It leads to success, and I think it helps you in recruiting. Certainly, people bring up the Uneven documentary piece that I put together and published recently about the imbalance in the scholarship distribution and availability in college baseball as compared to other sports and from one team to the next. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, you might find it interesting, get some details on it, go to unevenbaseball.com. But, one of the things that's pointed out in there is that in the SEC states anyway, Mississippi and Alabama are similar in that they don't really have a whole lot of extra that is available to them in recruiting baseball players. Whereas some states might have in-state lottery scholarship programs that's funded by a statewide lottery, and they have extra money and helps them to recruit in-state players based on, them meeting these certain requirements. And those in-state players don't have to pay as much to have to come and play on your team beyond the 11.7 allotted scholarships. And other, like Vanderbilt's a private school, they have an opportunity needs-based program. And some have in-state and out-of-state, and it can really all add up. And it becomes easier to convince those families, if they don't have the money, to come on. We can make it, more affordable for you to come here and play for us. Well, Alabama and Mississippi are kind of up against it because there ain't a whole lot. There's nothing in Alabama, not even an out-of-state deal. In Mississippi, you have a little help in the out-of-state waiver for kids that make a certain ACT score, SAT score, but it's really way on up there. And all you're doing is kind of waiving the out-of-state, the extra out-of-state portion of, whatever it costs. So you can kind of recruit them as in-state kids, but they still are coming out of their pocket. Well, you go, if the Mississippi schools, from a 11.7 baseball scholarship standpoint, is in the same boat as the Alabama schools, why are the Mississippi schools having so much success? Why do they have draft picks? Why do they have so many more wins? Why do they host so many more regionals and super regionals and trips to Omaha than the schools in Alabama and Auburn? Well, one thing I would point to is, all things being equal, and you're being recruited by, let's say, State and Ole Miss versus Alabama and Auburn, And, what you're coming out of pocket, you're coming out of pocket to play at any of those schools if you're a certain type of recruit, but it's all pretty much the same. Well, what's the major difference? I'm a baseball player, and at State and Ole Miss, they care about baseball. At State and Ole Miss, they have, 10,000 on games for the weekends as opposed to 1,000 at games on the weekend. And so, it absolutely has an impact on recruiting. The fan support and the atmosphere and therefore the stadiums and everything, it absolutely has an impact on recruiting. So it's a big deal. And so when I was pointing that out earlier prior to the Ben McDonald interview and how they draw, the fact you're going to have a dual regionals this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 90 miles apart, Oxford and Starkville, 90 miles apart, and you're going to have across the weekend over 30,000 people through the gates in Oxford, and across the weekend over 30,000 people through the gates in Starkville. And I'm telling you, listen to me. Listen. If State wins on Friday, it's an if State beats Samford on Friday, and they run, let's say, a McLeod or a Bednar out there in a winner's bracket game on Saturday night at 6 o'clock in a regional, you will have 14,000 to 15,000 people in that stadium. Attendance, and they'll announce it. Gonna happen. And just about the same thing in Oxford. Hey, you let Ole Miss and Southern Miss meet each other in a winner's bracket game Saturday night in Oxford. Tell me the attendance on that one. Anyway, and my friend David texted me and said, Matt, I would think Starkville and Oxford will, on their own, outdraw the combined regionals in the state of Tennessee. Knoxville and Nashville. What he's saying is you take the regional in Starkville by itself, it will outdraw the regional combination of the regionals in Knoxville and Starkville. You take Oxford this weekend by itself, it will outdraw the combined regionals in Knoxville and Nashville. Yep. That's going to happen. There's a really good point. All right, Coffee Norman on the Country Pleasing text line. Got a little info for me right here. Look at here. Coffee Norman says SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, played Arkansas 4 times this year and lost all of them. The first game was 6-5 in 10 innings. Dodd pitched that game and went 6 innings with 2 earned runs on 3 hits, struck out 10 and 0 walks. I'm going to have to go back and find that. So I'm assuming that was in Fayetteville. If it was in Fayetteville, we can go back and watch it. It'll be somewhere in the archives, wouldn't it? On the Watch ESPN app, ESPN3, ESPN Plus, that whole deal. SEC Network Plus, that's what I was trying to get to. I would assume it'd be somewhere in those archives. You could probably pull that back up and watch it. When this kid, the lefty for SEMO, his numbers are phenomenal, by the way. Phenomenal. 112 strikeouts. It's the lefty that's going to pitch for SEMO in Oxford on Friday night. 90 2/3 innings this year, 112 strikeouts, like 28 earned runs. He's walked 14. Now, again, he's not seeing SEC hitters every week, but according to Coffee Norman, now he sent me the numbers, and I'm trusting him here. He says he pitched against Arkansas. In the first game, it went to 10 innings, okay, so it was a 6-5 walk-off for Arkansas in 10 innings. But this kid pitched against that Hogs lineup, went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits, and struck out 10, didn't walk a soul. Coffee Norman said regarding Samford, I fear State's young team overlooking them since the earlier win this year. He says, I predict at least one or even both State and Ole Miss to lose game one as a result of just not being focused enough. Well, hey, just like Ben McDonald said, every year we have some fours that upset some ones. And you know what? We're going to have it this year. There's going to be somebody. Somebody will make it to Omaha, and they will have come out of some losers brackets. Happens every year. So if you're an Ole Miss fan and you drop that first one to SEMO, don't go jump off a bridge. Same thing, Bulldogs. Just show up the next day, see what happens. Sometimes you have to get completely and utterly up against elimination to really find out who you're made of and maybe flip that switch back the other way. Ask Elijah McNamee if you have to be in that position sometimes. Let's don't have too short of a memory here. Andrew sent me a picture, and he's got himself a brand spanking new Country Pleasin' hat. Now, y'all have seen me wear a bunch of Country Pleasin' hats with the red hog on the front, but they also have some that have that leather patch on the front of the hat, on the face of the hat up there, and it's got the kind of stamped or whatever you want to call it, the Country Pleasin' logo. That's a good-looking hat right there. Now, I'm not talking about you, Andrew. I'm just talking about the hat.
I like that hat.
Isn't that a good-looking hat?
That's a real good-looking hat.
Leather patch on the front with the hog on there. That's what I'm talking about right there. Country Pleasin' sausage. I'm hungry. Mansplain texts me. He says, my daughter is currently up north on a military assignment. She frantically called the other day while preparing to make chicken and sausage jambalaya. Her distress could be heard in her voice. Dad, they don't have Country Pleasin' up here. That's great.
Dad needs to put in a call down south here and have them ship some.
FedEx
that stuff.
That's what it's for. Hey, Mansplain, go to countrypleasin.com. Get what you need and have them ship it straight to her door. Rebel Rex, hey, good. A side note. It is raining its fanny off up here right now.
They've been doing that down here, too.
And if y'all are listening, by down here, he means Jackson, and by up here, I mean Tupelo. We're getting
two different places.
We're getting a Forrest Gump big old fat rain right now. Rain coming up from the ground. Rain coming in sideways. Man.
Frog strangler.
A tadpole gagger, as they say. Like the proverbial cow on the flat rock.
Look out now.
Yeah, well, I implicated. They got the implication. Lynn did not like all the stuff that Coffee Norman was laying out very pragmatically about how and why some of these teams may lose. Lynn texted and said, hush your mouth, Coffee Norman. Okay, all right, update. It's still impressive, but Norman went back and looked at the stats, and the guy did walk 2 in that ballgame. All right, so let's give you the updated stats. Dodd, the big left-handed starter, Friday night ace for SEMO. They played, according to Coffee Norman, they played Arkansas 4 times this year. Arkansas won all 4. But in the first one, when he pitched, it went to 10 innings. It was a 6-5, 10-inning walk-off for Arkansas. He started that game, Dodd did, against Arkansas's lineup, went 6 innings, 2 runs on 3 hits, struck out 10, and walked 2. Still impressive. Very, very impressive. And Jason in Flagstaff says, did you get to go to Tishomingo State Park the other day? We did not, but we are going. We are definitely going. And they have several trails. We want to go hiking where we can see some different stuff and the old bridge and then see some water and a stream or two and maybe a waterfall or two. And they've got that at Tishomingo State Park. And it's only about an hour's drive from where we live. And we just didn't go, but we are going to go, Jason. And they have several trails, and I was wanting to know which one we ought to take. And so I tweeted Jason, and he sent me the info back. And I'm going to take some pictures if for no other reason, Jason, than because you asked for them. So we'll get that. We'll definitely get it for you. On the live stream, hey, Sven over here in Germany, he's active on the live stream on YouTube. We were talking earlier. Let's see. What did he say here? Sven said the first team. Oh, you talk. Okay. This is during the conversation of what is NCAA enforcement doing right now? Do they even have, are those people even going to work? Really? Sort of a curiosity ramble rant, but it was honest thoughts on my part. Where are they? Well, anyway, when I said, I'm telling you, and remember I told you on today, June the 2nd, 2021, there's some schools, but there's some school out here in the big money sports of football and men's basketball who see the current landscape for what it is. They have an energetic, active, and enterprising booster fan base culture. And all of a sudden, I'm telling you, you're going to see a school come out of nowhere and stack up 4- and 5-star recruits and totally put a new paint job on their brand. And it's going to happen right before your eyes. Remember, I told you, because this time next year, we're going to be talking about them. And so, Sven responded on the live stream and said, the first team comes to my mind is Arkansas. That is Jerry Jones. He loves his school, doesn't it? Well, maybe it is Arkansas. But I would say about Arkansas, they have apparently a phenomenal athletics director in Hunter Yurachek, and all of their programs have just gotten better and better over the last couple of years. And he took over. They had some coaching changes. Of course, baseball, we see what it is, but Dave Van Horn's been there forever. But, Sam Pitt's football, it just has the right look and feel about it. Showed some improvement last year, even though they didn't win many games. It was a tough schedule. But they did show improvement, so maybe it could be. Cody commented on YouTube, and he says, I hope Tennessee is not the next team with NCAA sanctions. Yeah. Harry on the live stream said that 104.5 in Baton Rouge mentioned that MSU would get under 4.5 wins. Seems like a really bad take. What do you think? Under 4.5, I have a hard time seeing that happen. I think they'll be much better than that. I think state football this year has better personnel, especially on the defensive side, than some people realize. Now, they, like a lot of schools, they're going to be dependent on keeping people healthy, some key people healthy, but they got, a couple of NFL corners, and that's not the only two guys on that defensive side that are going to be significant draft picks at some point, and that's on the defensive side. And I feel like offensively, there's some pieces. There's a first round draft pick at one offensive tackle on the offensive side. I like the skill position makeup, especially your two running backs. I'm telling you, Dylan Johnson, remember that name. Write it down. Memorize it. Remember his face and his jersey number, okay? The kid's coming on. And so I like their personnel. And on offense, it does kind of feel like year two. It's sort of year two. Last year wasn't last year wasn't a normal year one for a Mike Leach team and a Mike Leach offense. But just remember, it is year two, technically, of that offense. And it just feels like they'll go about as far as quarterback can take them. If you get really good quarterback play, they got a chance to beat some people and be in some games. So, yeah, I think that's low. I think that they probably, even without going out and throwing some major upsets, they're a bowl team. They're a 6-win team when you look at their schedule. And that NC State out-of-conference deal is pretty important. But you look at where some of the other games are, I think their floor is around 6 wins. But also with where they are, their ceiling is probably around 8 when you look at the schedule and the fact they play in the West. But I think, under 4.5 is pretty low. Louvier, what did he say? He said the problem with Arkansas is that it's in Arkansas, just saying. Well, look, I'll say this. I think Arkansas gets a bad rap sometimes kind of like Mississippi always got a bad rap. Sometimes the people didn't really know. I like Arkansas. And maybe it's because, yeah, I've driven through the Arkansas Delta, okay? And it is what it is. But, man, Northwest Arkansas, okay, and you get up in and around those Ozarks, it's gorgeous. I like it. Louvier, did you know that there are places in the state of Arkansas where they have a sign on the side of the highway, one of those yellow signs warning you about wildlife, and it's not a deer crossing. You know how in Mississippi we have deer crossing signs? It ain't deer crossing. In Arkansas, it's elk crossing. Did you know that? That's a true story. I saw it with my own eyes. I was driving through that part of Arkansas on our way to Missouri one time. And we're in Arkansas now. And I saw a sign and went, wait a minute. Did y'all see that? They were like, no. I said, it was an elk cross. They were telling me to watch out for elk. They said, no, it wasn't. You're crazy. Go back to sleep. You daydreaming. It's not an elk sign. I said, it was an elk sign. I promise. We go about 2 more miles. Boom, there's another one. Watch out for the elk crossing the highway in Arkansas. I like Arkansas. I like Northwest Arkansas. I like the state. I like the fishing. I like the hunting. I like the landscape. I like the beauty. And if you told me today, Matt, you can't be a state fan anymore, you must choose another one, I would heavily consider Arkansas. I like that hog. I'll be honest with you. I like that hog. Maybe that's because I'm a country pleasing fan. I don't know. Y'all stick around.
Explore. After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank. because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right. A recipe has been sent to the Country Pleasin' text line. I'm going to check it out right now. White Denzel texted us on the Country Pleasin' sausage text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please. Now, I've discovered, we do all our grocery shopping at Kroger, here where we live. That's where we do our grocery shopping, is at Kroger. But Walmart's got it, and a lot of it, and different flavors too, so check it out. And there's lots of other places. I mean, you can find it all over the place and in different kinds. Okay, but anyway, we were talking recipes, and he texted me this. Crock pot garlic Parmesan chicken pasta. Is that what he meant to send me? What's this got to do with me? I'm telling you, man, I got to watch my figure. I got to be careful. Where is the recipe? 5 ingredients. If you like garlic, you like cheese, you're going to like this. Where is it here? It looks good. Crock pot garlic Parmesan chicken pasta. It looks good. I can't find the recipe. I done scrolled, Denzel, but can't find it. But I just know this. It looks good. Thanks for sending it along.
I think there might be another one on there you might like even better if you look off to the right there. King Ranch casserole with Doritos.
It's got Doritos in it.
Yeah, and then there's a crock pot Big Mac casserole.
Does it taste like a Big Mac?
I guess.
I'm all for a crock pot stuff, Denzel. Thank you for the recipe, sir. Thank you for the link. Rebel Rex texted the show a couple times. He said, hey, Matt, thanks so much for the Bianco interview. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in on that earlier in the show. We'll get that up for you tonight. Check Twitter and Facebook. I'm Radio Wyatt on either one. We'll get them up for you. And you can just go to mattwyattmedia.com. We'll get it up there also. Rebel Rex also said, hopefully the atmosphere this weekend at Oxford and Starkville will be a factor. As far as Ole Miss, I think you start Nikhazy and try to pound out as many runs as you can on their starter. Good luck to both teams. I hope we can make a super Rebel Rex. Well, and Rex, that's one thing. Okay, Bianco said that they are going to pitch Derek Diamond against SEMO on Friday night. And then you got Nikhazy going in game 2. So that'll be the way they approach it this weekend in Oxford. Louvier says, in regards to Arkansas, I was bragging on him, and he says the legal question is, when a couple is divorced in Arkansas, are they still cousins? Come on now.
Don't even go there.
Come on, Louvier. Tell you what, I like the Hogs. I like that they have the live hog mascot in a cage. All right. The last time we were over there, which is 19, right? Yeah, we were over there in 19. We went to Fayetteville. got to see the live hog in the cage after the ball game up close. That thing's pretty cool. And they have the regular hog mascot, but they've got one of those big inflatable suits. You know, it's like 9, 10, 11 feet tall. Inflatable hog with a person on the inside. Thing cracks me up. I love it. And they have what I think is maybe the most underrated band in the entire SEC. Anybody ever been to a Arkansas football game in Little Rock? They have a great band now. Yeah, the stadium in Little Rock's pretty cool. War Memorial. It's historic. It's so old school. And we played there several times. I was doing radio and stuff. But we also played there, I guess, twice in my college career when we played Arkansas. 2 of the times we went, we were Little Rock. One time we were in Fayetteville. But that was back in the 90s, pre-expansion at their stadium. What's the name of their stadium? I'm drawing a Reynolds Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. War Memorial in Little Rock is much more like built in the same vein and like feeling as a lot of those old school stadiums from the 60s and 70s. You know, it's just a bowl all the way around. Seating is sitting right there in Little Rock. Not huge by any stretch, but a great atmosphere. It gets really loud. And we would always find ourselves going up there, either playing or, you know, more recent years during the latter part of the fall. You always played them in November. So, you know, it was usually cool or cold, but foliage, that area is really pretty. Yeah, but it's sit right next to a golf course. There's a golf course that like is built and is sitting there right next to that War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. And on game days when they play there, the golf course is like used for tailgating. There's people like all over the golf course. And it's pretty interesting. But it's a much different atmosphere than what they have in Fayetteville. In Fayetteville now, you know, their stadium after expansion and everything else, it really is nice. It's just that the last couple of times we've been there, so 19 and then before that in 17, we went to Little Rock. Neither time did they have great crowds at all. And so you haven't, for us anyway, in Fayetteville, haven't really been able to experience it, what it's actually like in that stadium. And you'd have to go all the way back to about 2015. You remember, and I'm looking at it, I'm telling you from a Mississippi State radio perspective because we travel with the team. So in 15, that was Dak Prescott's senior year, and they played at Fayetteville, night game, big crowd. And you remember neither team could stop each other. It was this high-scoring shootout. Brandon Allen kept taking Arkansas up and down the field offensively. Dak Prescott kept taking State right on down to answer and score, and State finally won it at the end of the ballgame by blocking a field goal attempt. And, you know, so that one we got to kind of experience the crowd there and what it can be like. The last couple of times we've been, they didn't have great crowds. You didn't really get to experience it. Let's see here. Denzel. Okay, he said, thanks. Got it. Got the Parmesan chicken crock pot pasta thing. Got the 1 bottle Parmesan garlic sauce. 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, 1 cup of milk, 8 ounces of cream cheese. Cut it up, 4 ounces of shredded or grated Parmesan, 12 ounces of pasta. And it's got 3, 5, 7 steps for instructions, but I'm thinking, Bill, just put it in the pot, the crock pot, turn it on.
Yeah, let the pot do its work.
I mean, it's a crock pot recipe.
Just throw it in there.
I'm serious. It's a crock pot recipe. It's crock pot garlic Parmesan chicken pasta. You got cheeses, chicken, cream cheese, and some milk. Put it in the pot, turn it on, walk away.
Just shoot up in here amongst us. One of us got the house room ready.
And there's your recipe. And there it is. I don't need 7 steps. If I need that many steps, I won't use a crock pot. Free American. What does he say here? He texted on the Country Pleasing text line, says we did some jalapeno and cheese and some 3 cheese sauces with homemade mac and cheese. Wife said she wanted the jalapeno, but then put that back for the 3 cheese, but the best part was the 3-year-old little girl eating and killing some sausage. Oh, I bet. The jalapeno and cheddar that you get from Country Pleasing is, it's universal, man. It's ubiquitous. Put it in and on or under or on top of anything.
Yeah, I don't like really hot stuff, but that's not that hot.
It's perfect, isn't it?
The flavor is really good. Yeah, it's really good.
You know, okay.
Because if you're thinking hot when you think jalapenos, but it's not really
right
that hot.
Okay, the jalapeno and pineapple that they have.
Oh yeah,
it's a little hotter.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, yeah, it'll light you up a little more. But you're right, the jalapeno and cheddar, to me, every time I've had it from Country Pleasing, it's just the right temperature, just enough to make my bald head sweat just a little bit. That's how I know it's just right. I don't really feel the burn in my on my lips and my nostrils, but it's just enough to make the top of my head sweat just a little bit, where every now and then I take a napkin, I have to wipe the sweat off the top of my head, and my wife and daughter look at me like, stop doing that. Stop it.
Would they rather it just kind of roll down your face? Come on now.
Hey, every now and then we'll be out eating somewhere or whatever, and I'll get a hold of some hot food and I have to wipe sweat off my head. And you would think my daughter and my wife want to get under the table. It is hilarious.
We don't know this man.
Hey, last night, Bill, it was funny. Last night, Annabeth was in another part of the house, and you hear, she goes, Matt, calls my name. And I said, what, babe? Like that. And my daughter was about 3 feet from me. Mary Lady goes, don't call her babe. That's weird.
Oh,
I thought, what in the world? I've been calling her babe your whole life. Yeah. But and then she told
Before
me
you were here too.
Don't call her babe. That's weird. It's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird for
they don't use like their daddy and mama hugging and all that.
That's
kind of stuff.
it.
They think that's gross.
Listen, I think she's reached an age where Annabeth and I being sweet to each other, me calling her babe, and Mary Liddy don't want to hear that.
No, she doesn't.
She does not want to hear babe. I got some things I want you to hear when we come back, including a little trip down memory lane, but it won't take long. I'm Matt in the Bureau, Hour 3. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold.
And remember, folks, Meadow Gold is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show. Nobody breaks down quarterback play better than him. And he's right here, right now, online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right, back with you all set to wrap things up here. Hour number 3 of the show on this Wednesday, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Anything residential in Starkville, living there, moving there, investment property there, condos, leasing an apartment, anything residential, go to Overstreet. Find the contact info and talk to Kane Overstreet at overstreetproperties.com. All right, I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Memory lane, here it is. All the way back on June the 2nd, 1989. Long time ago, Bill, 1989.
Yeah.
Look, let's be honest, it's not that long ago.
No. For you, maybe.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
June the 2nd, 1989, Eric Davis of the Cincinnati Reds became the most recent Red to hit for the cycle. He did it while driving in 6 runs and finished it with a triple.
Fly ball to left. Martinez is just going to look up and watch it. 3-run home run for Eric Davis.
Shot into right center field with speed. He'd get that triple. Let's see if he can do it. Will he try it? He's going to go for it. He's going for the cycle. And he slides and he is safe. Eric Davis, how many times do you see that? Hit for the cycle as Larkin scores. It's 9-4. But that's something you see so rarely, and the fans here know it.
Hit for the cycle, 6 RBIs. We're talking about maybe a little mobility restricted with the ankles. No problem for Larkin scoring. And Eric Davis, we got what we were just saying, maybe the most difficult of the four to get. Hit for the cycle, gets the triple.
And it did it with a triple. You think about, what's the most rare, what's the hardest thing to get as a part of the hitting for the cycle? Well, it's absolutely the triple. Even more difficult than the home run. Or more rare. It sure is. Anyway, so he did it, hit for the cycle. It was just neat to watch that highlight. It happened on this day back in '89. There was Barry Larkin rounding the bases in front of him. The guy fielding the ball out in center field for the Padres was Tony Gwynn. Reminded me how great 80s baseball really was. And a full stadium. I mean, you're talking about a June ball game in Cincinnati, and they're packed in there like sardines. You don't get that anymore pretty much anywhere. Even in a normal year. Okay, and I know not all ballparks are 100% right now. Here was another one just from a baseball perspective. This one caught my attention because, as a Braves fan growing up, and Fred McGriff had a lot of great years for the Braves. Now, he played for a lot of teams, but on this day in 2000, 21 years ago, 2000.
The crime dog.
The crime dog. Fred McGriff of the Tampa Bay, at that time they were the Devil Rays, became the 31st Major League player to reach 400 career home runs. He hit a 2-run shot off of Glendon Rush in a 5-3 loss to the Mets, but that was his 400th. What did he end up with? That was in 2000. Why isn't Fred McGriff in the Baseball Hall of Fame? An unreal 19-year career. 19 years from 86 to 04 with 6 different teams. His 19-year career, he was a .284 hitter. 493 home runs. The man started in 86. In 2000, hit his 400th. He hit 93 more. 19-year career, batted .284 with 493 home runs. 1,550 RBIs and 2,490 base hits. Top 2 career comparisons for him in terms of comparing his career: Willie McCovey and Willie Stargell. Yep. But polling low. He fell off the ballot after 2019. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Statistically, he's in the top 100 players of all time in just about every important offensive category. Yep. He, just shy of 500 home runs, just shy of 2,500 hits, led the league in a major category twice. He led the league in home runs in 89 and again in 92. A 6-time All-Star. He had 6 top 10 MVP finishes. At any rate, he's not in the Hall of Fame. But there's just no question, for this guy anyway, for me, that Fred McGriff ought to be in the Hall of Fame. No question. Bill, I have to run this by you just so you know I did it. During the gridiron earlier today, I texted them on the Country Pleasing text line, and I said, hey, guys, today is National Leave the Office Early Day. But what about people who rarely show up at the office in the first place?
You're not talking about anybody particular.
And I felt bad because I set him up because Chris got the text from me and he didn't really have time to preview it first.
He never does.
So he was just reading it on the fly. And as he read it, his voice just sort of trailed off. He went, oh, here's one from Matt. What does it say? It says, hey, guys, today's National Leave Their Office Early Day. What about for people who rarely show up at the office? Okay. And then Beaver had a fantastic, classic Beaver response. He said, now, hold on a minute. Beaver goes, isn't this the same guy that does his show from his house?
There you go.
He doesn't even have to show up in the office. And then Chris responded and goes, yeah, Matt probably does the show in his underwear. And I told him that I like to, when I do the show, I'm dressed like Will Ferrell in the movie Wedding Crashers. Ma, meatloaf. Where is she? I never know where she is. You know, that's how I do the show every day. And then they got off on other subjects. Somebody texted in and said, yeah, y'all, Matt does a show at his house. He had to jump off the show one time, just left the show hanging to go kill a snake in the garage.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of a twisting of the truth, but it's basically true. And the truth is, you've heard the story, Bill. The truth is, I had about 9 minutes left, 8 to 9 minutes left of the show before it went to that last commercial break. When Annabeth swung the door open, I'm mid-sentence on the air, and she says to me, get off the radio. There's a snake in the house. And then takes off. I mean, on 1 minute, I'm like, yeah, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, record scratch. Get off the radio. There's a snake in the house. Whew, she's gone. And I'm standing here. I'm left standing here with about 8 minutes of radio show left and going, what do I do? How big's the snake? What kind of snake? Where? Where is it? I don't have any answers. She's gone. And I got to fill this time. So I calmly went about finishing my sentence. The whole time I'm spinning it around in my head going, what do I do? What do I do? Thinking, okay, they're just going to have to, they can just leave the house, whatever. I'm going to finish this show, and then I'll take care of this thing permanently, whatever it is. I'm thinking, it's in the house. Where can it go? I mean,
it's trapped.
Yeah. So as I'm finishing up like the last 7-8 minutes, I'm getting text after text after text from Annabeth. It says, get down here. Where are you? Why aren't you down here? Matt, get off the radio. You have to get down here. It's just one after the other. I'm paraphrasing some of them, in fact. I get off the radio. I go down there. The little mud room that comes in from the garage. They've got the door shut. They're like, I saw it in there. So I go in there. I immediately step in there, shut the door behind me, and thinking, okay, I'm in here with a snake, apparently. I don't know any kind of snake. Don't know what. It's just a snake. Okay, I'm looking around. I don't see anything. I look under a pair of shoes, pair of boots, nothing. And then I see over in the corner, Bill, there's a little open, like, little container box thing with, little dog toys, chewable dog toy things down in it. I'm like, it's either in or under that right there. So I lean over and look. Okay, and I can sort of see the snake. Okay, I kind of see him. All right, what am I going to do right here? So I open the door going back out into the garage. I pick up the box and dump it out. And when I did, not one, but 2 snakes start crawling around. One little one and one big one.
Yep. Mama and the baby.
Well, they're no longer with us. We took care of it pretty quick, but
should have brought the dog in there with you. Let the dog have it.
Yeah, should have. It was a pretty funny thing. And Beaver said, Matt's always got pictures like he's got animals and stuff all over the place, and it's really true. I mean, it's always something here: a fox, a turtle, a goose, an owl, a hawk, snake, something. Bill, I enjoyed it, sir.
Me too, sir.
We're going to see you tomorrow. Try some of those recipes, and we'll do it all over again. I'm Matt. He's Bill. For everybody in the Bureau, see y'all tomorrow. See ya!
Another load of Smart Pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors.
Jess's 30-minute bike boot camp? I guess it's that kind of day. Are you